Short Rest with Fonzi and Carlo.
All right, we're good. It's too messy.
Na-record na.
Oh, shit. Well, that's our intro, right? Laging may something wrong.
Yeah.
On brand.
Welcome, folks, for this
Hi.
week's episode of The Short Rest. I am joined today I'm with Carlo, as usual, DM Carlo, and also our special guest, as mentioned last week, the very own, the best DM in Davao City, DM Miles. How
Weighing
are
in
you?
at.
Hey.
Hey, Miles,
Happy to
what's
be
up?
here.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Thank-
great. How about you?
Yeah. Oh, we're doing fine. We're doing well. It's it's been
Okay.
it's been one hell of a week this past week, no. So yeah.
It has.
It's very yeah. Go ahead,
Highly
Fonzie.
politically charged week
Yeah.
we've had this week. Of course, our hopes and prayers go out to our friends and families in in Cagayan Valley up north.
Mhm.
We're thinking of you. If you haven't donated anything, please do send in course through your donations to the proper channels, please. Not just the office of the vice president, but there are also
Yeah.
other channels as well.
Yeah.
So,
Private ones.
yeah, private ones like I think UN and other and the Red Cross are accepting donations and stuff.
Red
like
Cross is
Mm.
good,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so we're thinking about you guys. So this week is a very special episode because we have a special guest with us, DM Miles from Fort 7. So tell us a little bit as before we start, no, and as we roll our hit dice, no, maybe you can let's roll our hit dice then, I guess, before we
All
start.
right.
Ooh, interesting.
So
You want me to start?
yeah, so just give you a little bit of background there, Miles. No, rolling hit dice it's just that, no, parang whatever you'd like to share with us about your week, anything that you'd like to talk about this week that has been rough or has been good. Either
Yeah.
or, no? So, ikaw na bahala kung ano yung gusto mong gamitin na story or anything. So, Carlo here will give you a very awesome, very pristine sample of what rolling hit
Actually,
dice
Ooh.
will sound like.
Don't hype it up that much. Make it start low and then we hype it na. Okay. All right. So I'm rolling for hit dice now. Okay. So this week has been relatively anxiety inducing, mostly because there are issues in the family I as the panganay have to resolve, and thankfully they have to be resolved. They are resolved na, rather, relatively. And yeah, work wise, everything is naman, as productive and as busy as ever. Thankfully not as toxic. But yeah, this week has been has been really full of syempre, if it's family matters, it can be very it can, at least for me, it can be very anxiety inducing. But yeah, overall, it's all good. I've played I've read up a lot on lore of some of the monsters in D&D. And I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege lately. So yeah, that's about it for me.
Oh shit. Rainbow Six Siege, ha? Sieger ka pala. Uh, so, I'll go next, tapos yung guest natin yung last
Yes,
para
yes, yes.
pressure sa kanya.
Sige.
So,
Alright.
I'll roll for hit dice. This week was relatively quite fast. Ito one of those weeks na parang, hala, Friday na pala. Parang ganun. Ang dami akong ginawa, dami akong nagawa, not just, with work and stuff, but also, I finished Hades. Have you heard of that? Yung Hades na
Na
game?
game,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
The-
medyo nakaka-addict siya. So,
Mm.
I finished that. Tapos, yeah, and a lot of stuff with my bike stuff and drifting. So, medyo siya, I was kind of like tuned in for this week. After, parang nagulat na lang ako na tapos na pala siya on Friday na. Kaya medyo nagpanic ako nung piniem kita, Miles, kahapon for that
Oo.
invite again. Oh my God! Pag-check ko parang, Friday na? Parang literally, the week just blew by that fast, no? Yeah, but relatively feeling productive, feeling good. Uh, Although meron akong kailangan gastusin sa bike, so I feel bad, but not really. So, so ano lang. So that's just it. So now we're prepping for season 10 as we are preparing for that epic next week, which we'll talk about, Miles, no, later on, maybe in this episode. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, Miles, would you like to roll some hit dice?
Yeah, all right. I'm rolling hit dice. Okay. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Yeah, for me, this week we had a lot of firsts. So yung isa
Go
is
on.
yeah, yung isa is I run games. So
Okay.
I run my first overseas game. So
Ooh, nice.
with nobody but puro foreigners. So parang for me medyo challenge siya kasi dapat straight English lahat.
Mm-mm.
So
Yeah.
ganun. So and yung culture iba, pati yung mga
Yeah.
time zones nila kailangan i-take into account. So parang iba rin yung prep level when you're trying to, DM for overseas. So yung time zones kailangan i-sync, mga ganun. So this week for me was a little more ganun. So a lot of firsts, pati yung sa pag-prepare namin for the epic for next week. A lot of challenges there. But in terms of real life naman, I recently got into this new job naman. So far, it's also a lot of firsts for me again on
Nice.
the experiences I had there. So I just have to carry on, push through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
New
Yeah.
beginnings are always rough.
beginnings. Yeah.
And just like new beginnings, no, I
Okay,
have no
that's
segue.
one hell of a transition.
I have no segue. Yeah, so let's talk about our guest a little bit more, Miles. Like with your talking about new beginnings, though, how was your beginning in the realm of D&D? Like when did you start playing? What edition? What decade? And if you can remember your first game, what was it about?
Oh wow.
Your
Yeah.
first character too. Yeah.
All right. So, sure, I'll go with the first editions that I've started. I actually started with 5th edition,
Mhm.
3 years ago. That's when I started. I'm still a little new to all this, to D&D. But what do you call this? Yeah, I started with watching shows from Harmon Quest. One of my favorite dungeon masters there, Spencer Crittenden. And ever since I watched and finished that show, I tried to look for groups in Davao City. And eventually I did. I found, if you know yung mga groups in the Carly and sila Adi. Sila, I was able to find a group with them. And then eventually got my first game with them. My first game was pretty exciting. I was really into it.
Nice.
Because I remember my first character was a Dragonborn warlock. And I didn't really know what I did. I just had a mace and I started clobbering goblins, and I was so excited. Like,
Nice.
yes, the bloodthirst. It's amazing. That thrill, it was really fun. Yeah, the thrill of the kill.
Yeah, I remember my first kill. I was yet a wee child when I first gutted
dear.
my mother.
I was 12 when I killed something.
Lumalabas yung lumalabas yung pagka-gamer child ng which I feel like a lot of video games are trying to replicate, the excitement of combat and stuff like that. Parang yan kasi medyo jaded ka na sa combat, parang okay, just going through the motions and fighting and stuff. Carlo here is a video game, aren't you a content creator for video games?
Yeah. I do that for YouTube. This is why I focus on story games. Says someone who played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege lately. But I really focus on the story. Anyway, go on, Miles.
Like speaking of story, like what was your next?
What was your story?
What was your story in terms of like becoming a DM? Like how long after your first game did you start thinking about and preparing to be a dungeon master?
Oh, all right. Well, good question. The moment I got into it, that's the moment I realized I wanted to DM. So the next game that I played D&D, so technically my second D&D game was a game that I DM'd.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, I just jumped into it. And so I really love the DMing aspect of D&D because I grew up especially when back in college and high school, I really love making presentations and reports. So I kind of treated it in that way, and I proceeded to tell a story. And my first game and first group was in a Alicap, so I was running my first game there,
Rest in
and
peace.
that's what hit me. I just wanted to keep DMing, and ever since then I just DM'd more than play.
That's true.
Yeah, ano, that's really it's very rare to find someone who DMs at their second game. Like it took me at least a few years before I got into actually becoming a DM. I think Fonzie took a few months or weeks before you
Few
DM.
months. Yeah.
A few months. So
Yeah,
that's good to hear. Yeah.
More it was out of necessity, like why I chose to DM.
Because
No one wanted to play in my schedule kasi parang walang nagdi-DM ng hapon. So parang okay, wala bang nagdi-DM ako kaya mag-DM. May mga players kaya. So I started to parang post game sa kasi I came in just last year, I think, or last year ba other year sa Davao AL group, tapos I started playing after like a few, siguro mga 10 games more or less, na parang sige, start na ako preparing to Dungeon Master kasi parang walang available sa time slot ko because marriage feat is rough.
Yeah.
For your D&D
yeah.
career, ha? For your D&D career. So nag-start ako DM, tapos season 9 for season 9 content, afternoon games, sometimes even morning, mga 10, 11 a.m. ganun. I started DMing. Tapos eventually parang it's kind of like it's difficult sa first, but the more you do it, the better you are. Parang more or less, parang that's really all you need. Tapos yun, parang marami ka pang hindi alam about rules and stuff. Ganun. I think it's more of like a personal trait din na parang as a storyteller or as a creator din na parang personally that's why I found D&D to be very unique in terms of like creative expression kasi parang ma-meet niya lahat ng trinatry ko gawin before. Like just to give you like Miles, just to share a little bit about myself, na I was into theater nung high school, tapos yun, kumakanta ko, I write stories, I used to write short stories, tapos gano'n. Tapos pag Dungeon Master ko, parang okay, this is a bit of everything kasi parang may acting, may creation, may storytelling, may writing,
yeah
combat. Basagolero at mainitin na ulo din ako dati. So parang for me yung creative itch was more than parang more than satisfied for me. Like for you, Miles, did you find that same experience in terms of like dungeon mastering? How is it different in your opinion, in terms of like experience for you as a player or as a DM? Like what do you feel like is the difference or the difference maker there that pushed you towards wanting to DM more?
Ooh, great. That's a really great question. Yeah, I'll admit when I was a kid, I really loved stories as well. So despite me being like a science student, I was the one who wanted to do story stuff and the English class kind of things. So people in my class didn't really like doing that. However, when it came to D&D, compared to video games, the freedom in D&D is just unparalleled. What I could say. It's just you could be whoever you want, you could do whatever you want, you could approach it however you want. There's it's up to you. There's a lot
range of
unique
options.
things. So that's what really got me into it. I also love world building in a way wherein and I can describe things, I can tell people what they see, what they smell. It's those small little things that I love about the game that just makes me just want to keep DMing, just describing the world in a sense, or maybe roleplay. Roleplay is fun too. You can be other people. I like being different characters. I just that's why I think I stick to the DMing thing. I like being a dwarf. I like being a commoner. I like being the generic guard. As to compared to an adventure, you just want to be that one adventure, the hero. No, me. I want to be that guy in the corner who just does nothing and watches you and cheer on you. Yeah, I
Uh,
can do it.
I just heal people, so that's my job.
I'm not even supposed to be here. That guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Other players are like, I'm the most powerful one here. I deal a lot of damage.
What, like speaking of like being a player and stuff, like as a DM, like what do you feel like are good traits for a player to have in terms of like your games? Like what do you enjoy out of players when they're being more of that? Like
Do you have a preferred player terrain, or do you have a preferred player or something?
yeah.
Preferred player. That's a good question.
Player terrain. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
That's it. A preferred player, I think. Well, I don't really have a preferred player. I just want that player, I guess, to be themselves as long as they're having fun and being themselves, or pretty relaxed. I just want them to be as comfortable as possible. So I don't really have a preference. I'm more of try to adjust to certain players.
I see.
Mm.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because there are a lot of players who have like different expectations of the game. Some players are very combat centric. Others are very optimization centric. Others are very role play. So how do you know how are you able to manage that? Like, do you get to know your players first before you run the game, or?
Ooh. Well, that goes back to my other my other regular group, because they're a mix of everything. So there's a role player, a very heavy one at that. Shout out to Roselle. She's very heavy role play. I also have one who just stays quiet, stays at the back, doesn't say anything.
We all know that.
Yeah. No, in fact, there's two of them. There's two of them who
okay.
just. Then there's the others who are pretty balanced. They love a little of everything. They have a little of everything. So, when it comes to that, I know the two don't want to talk, so I don't really talk to them. But the other three, they love roleplay, so I go ahead and roleplay with them. But then for meme's sake, or for or just to drag them in, I bring the two sometimes in for comedic effect kind of thing, where where all of them enjoy it. So
Yeah.
as long as you try to involve everyone in a certain thing that if this one player likes roleplay and the other doesn't, try to involve everybody in a very subtle way, just as long as you acknowledge those players that are still there. They're gonna love it, they're gonna remember it. And I I kind I how I think in terms of combat, that's where I'm getting a little problems, because I don't really know how to make challenging combats for my players.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a common problem with some DMs.
It happens,
It happens to
Uh,
everyone.
combat
Sometimes-
dysfunction
Yeah.
Combatile dysfunction.
Yeah.
happens once in a while when you're tired and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a very interesting insight, no? Kasi one of the things na ano din that you find like good or great DMs have is like just the ability to include everyone in the game,
Yeah.
and sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's okay. But the best games that in your memories then siguro like would involve like everybody in the group just being very engaged, not just with the story but with each other. No, I think that's really just what makes D&D really fun, when you get that social aspect and collaboration really up and about. No? Which is just speaks a lot about community and just you knowing your players in and out and knowing what their preference and respecting their preference as well. That's really great.
Yeah.
Speaking of community, like what brought you to DM for a group like Fort 7, and can you talk about Fort 7 a little bit, DM Miles, if you don't mind?
Oh, sure, no problem. Shout out to Mike. Hopefully he's listening. All right.
Oh, he will
Uh,
when we upload this.
yeah. Hopefully he will. Fort Seven. First and foremost, the reason why we made Fort Seven was because there was a group of us. So there's like five of us who couldn't really find people to play with or a group to play with because most of the groups it happens. It's D&D. If you have a comfortable group, it's normal that you stick with that group. And for us, we weren't able to find a group or a group within a community or maybe some players to play with. It was pretty difficult for us. So we decided all five of us. So we reached out to each other. We talked. We decided why not make a community? Why not you know bring games to people, have it for free, tell them they can play, invite them even, go direct to them, and in my when we were making Fort 7, I was the DM, so we had like a system wherein Mike would just invite the players and I would just simply focus on DMing. And in a way that's grown until now, so a year later that's grown, and we've been continuing the same thing. So um ever since then in Fort 7, if you want to play D&D and play anywhere or anytime, seriously, 2 a.m., 3 a.m, if you want to play at those times, there is going to be a DM for you for sure. So that's the kind of community we wanted to build, that if you want to play, that's it. Yeah.
I'll share with you the screen, Fort 7 screen. Can you run us through like what we're seeing here, Miles?
Yeah,
This is an amazing piece of work that you
It's
were
like
able to do.
it's like a Witcher bounty board.
oh yeah. All right, so yeah, this is the Fort 7 website. Way back last year, we didn't have this. We had like a Google sheet to accommodate this. So what players would do would access a sheet or maybe this website, and then they would type in a comment to try and request for a game. Most cases, the DMs here have their slots open. So example here, you can see if you scroll down the other tables, they're open. So you just go ahead and request to join, and automatically somebody on the other end or on the back end would approve you there. So right now we have a lot of full games. So
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of people need their D&D fix because
Yeah.
this pandemic is hard on everyone.
Yeah.
Shout
This
out
is
to
hard.
the DM names too. DM
Yeah,
Bunny
and-
Cakes.
And you also have a Discord channel. Is that
Channel.
correct, Miles?
That's correct. Yep. So that's where
So-
we synchronize everything.
So once you post a game as a DM, like I'm registered as a DM here. Ooh,
Yeah.
post my first game. Gonna
Nice.
post my first game, I promise, very soon. I'm going to join you for the season 10 grind. But once you post a game here, does it update automatically on Discord? Like, is that the thing that you have as a feature?
Actually, yeah. Once you join our Discord server, you'll go to the steps, of course, the rules and whatnot. And once a game is posted, it will show up on a certain channel that a DM had posted a game. So players would immediately know, oh, there's a game. I want to sign up for this. So what players can do, number one, either they can go ahead and request to join, or they can, tag the DM in the Discord. Can I join this game? So even if DM can't respond immediately, we have what we call, in terms of Mike's terms, we call it the DM friend. So the DM friend will say, okay, yeah, we'll add you up right away. And the DM friend will accommodate that player.
Nice.
DMs are busy, and we respect the work of DMs. So we have in Fort 7, we had that idea of handling the back end side of things for the DM, so that the DM just focuses on the game.
I see.
So basically that's
So-
what we were trying to do.
Question, is Fort 7 primarily for and here's the Discord, here's the Discord channel right here. Is Fort 7 primarily for is it just for D&D, or do you have other tabletop RPGs that you run in the platform?
Ooh, great question. Well, recently we've already opened up to Call of Cthulhu
Yeah.
tabletop
It calls us
RPGs.
Fonzi.
Oh, so that's another topic for another day.
Yeah,
but Carlo
pero
has
yeah.
promised
yeah.
to run Call of Cthulhu, and I have
Yeah.
been seething, and my mouth has been
Yeah.
frothing.
Oh my.
I want to play so hard. Anyway, you were saying, Miles? Sorry.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we do plan to open up to other tabletop systems in the future. We were looking into Pathfinder and Warhammer Fantasy, those kind of tabletop RPGs. So for sure, we'll get there. But for now, it's more of D&D.
Yeah, I think that it's great that you're actually answering or providing a solution to this need of people who just want to play games. I think there's been a rise in the usage of Roll20 precisely because of that, because of the pandemic rather, diba? So parang, yep, everyone's got nothing to do and they're stuck at home. So what else can they do with an internet connection and a good PC? Just have just talk with some friends over some D&D. So that's really good. That's a great way to
And I have to say, like, I've read some of your collaterals for your inside, like your DM notes and for meetings and alignments and stuff. They're very professionally done. So well done there. I'm very impressed. Like, wow, this is like a corporate briefing and stuff. The timeline.
That's all Mike.
It's insane how detailed it is. So it's amazing how, you know, parang kasi na-elevate yung, ano ba yun, parang this isn't just
something that you do for a hobby.
I wanna take it to the next level. So parang this is what I saw parang from the collaterals parang wow, these guys mean business.
Yeah, they're very. That's some good art that you put up there.
Yeah, and
So,
like everything from marketing and advertising is planned out. In terms of like in your role there in Fort 7, what do you do, Miles? Can you talk about it?
Yeah, well, it's a group of volunteers. Actually, we're all just volunteers. So there's Axel who makes the website, then Mike who does most of the advertising. I actually help out with the advertising with Mike too. So I provide the voiceovers. I also provide the ads sometimes. So this current ad, I'm the one who made that. So far, I'm the one who handles the this one. That one.
God, that's scary. I have to turn to look at it upside down.
And I really appreciate also how you highlight the DM's games with and promote it on your page. And also like having also a very diverse set of like promotions and stuff like that. You only activate on Facebook for now, or are there other platforms
channels that you're in?
Actually, we do plan that because I'm already now the marketing. I'm also going to be part of the marketing, so I'm going to be helping out with the other channels like Instagram and Twitter, hopefully. So we'll get there. I've already pitched that to them. Yeah, my role is more of a moderator in the Discord. Plus, I do the ads, so that's more of what I do.
Awesome.
In Fort 7. Yeah.
Awesome. So, like talking about Fort 7, how many players have you? Do you have now, like active players, or like an aggregate of so far? Like, how many players?
How many people are in your list na registered players?
All right, good question. Well, I haven't really seen the statistics because it's really Mike who knows more of that. I would say around 100 to 200 active players.
And growing.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. That's good.
So
speaking of players.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, like you were saying, speaking of players.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I saw the ad, and speaking of a growing number of people, I think you guys are, would you say, rallying the fort? No one. That's you should have stuck with this. You should have gone with the segue, Fonzi. I was transitioning to, I think, the epic that they're going to run.
Yeah. Speaking of the epic as well, like what have you?
Bad segue for me.
What do you have planned for us in terms of like on November 28th? Like what is this epic all about?
Yeah, rally the fort.
Well, the only thing I could tell you about it is that it's gonna be one great adventure coming or on the no, sorry, one grand adventure that's
Great, I
gonna
bought a
happen
cleric.
in the 10 towns. It's all good and fun. Yeah, it's not that hard. I would say it's not that hard. It's more fun than hard actually.
That's
So.
what she said. Sorry for my very lackluster
God.
joke, but it was right there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So are you?
Mm.
I'm excited for you guys. Like we did an epic, a very very small epic, but an epic din. When we had 3 tables ng you. Tatlo na ba tayo nun, Miles? Like tayo tatlo ni
Oh,
Toby.
yeah, it's just 3.
So very small epic, but it was really fun. Organized. And
Yeah.
stuff. But it was my first online epic, so that was fun. So you're doing this in using multiple platforms, right? You're not just using Roll20, you're also using Foundry and other platforms. Like what platform are you going to use for your table, Miles?
Personally, I'd rather do Jamboard because it's an epic and I don't want it to lag.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Jamboard's
Jamboard.
the Jamboard's my jam. So I think after Fonzie just introduced it to me last week. Oh, wow. These are token wow, and parang there are a lot like you don't have to you don't have to master any kind of platform like Roll20 to just get things going, particularly when it comes to combat or maybe describing describing what the landscape looks like or what the background looks like. So yeah, I just wanted to ask this really going in because I actually I haven't played in an epic before. So can you guys
Ooh.
describe what that is? I'm kind of coming into this blind. I was supposed to play one last year, but an emergency came up. So this will be my first epic, and it's going to be in Fort 7. So what's it? What can we expect from an epic?
All right. So yeah,
Uh,
basically epics are how do I put this simply? All right. Well, essentially, all the DMs are running a single mod, and all those modules, all of those tables, are synchronized in a way that you all have a common goal, and all those tables need to play all together. And they need to play together. So it's basically a multi-table event wherein if something happens on this table and then it's possible that the other table it might affect the other table. So it's like a mass raid kind of thing if you put it into MMORPG. Yeah. In WoW terms, yeah. So it's like a mass raid where people group up and we're all adventurers. Let's destroy this thing or let's
hit
defend the
something
fort
until it dies.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are types of epics as well. Like if I may add, like there are kind of like competitive epics, like the one that they ran in. I think it was 2 years ago. Here they ran this epic in Davao, where it was I think the Zentarim versus another faction.
Nice.
So parang they were parang creating as much havoc in Waterdeep as possible. Tapos they were racking up points. Tapos at the end of the day, parang they tally up points depending on how much chaos you were able to ensue in that city. There are also like collaborative epics that like multi-tier epics that involve tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3s, or tier 1 or tier 2, or tier 2s and tier 3s, where the results or the actions of the different tiers may affect the tier 2. So the tier 2s does something, tapos the tier 3s get a boon or get a boost or something, parang ganun. Or the opposite, like if they fail to kill the Kraken, then everybody suffers psychic damage or stuff like that.
Oof. In the whole event.
Yeah.
Wow. That's shitty.
That's shitty. Yeah, especially if you send like a weak ass monk in the like champion stable. Jesus. But epics are built to parang incite as much chaos as possible,
Oh yeah.
and you have to, if not, if it's better to just have your character, knowing your character, knowing what your character can or can't do. Are there any other tips you would give to players or potential players who would be interested or are already signed up for the epic? Like, what can you suggest that they do to prepare for this?
All right. Well, number one I could tell you is to grind, of course. Get to level 4 as fast as you could.
Okay.
And because it's gonna be difficult if you come in level 1. You don't want to be
Oh
down
shit!
most of the
Well,
time.
I'm at level 1. Thank you for the heads up.
Yeah.
I'll
So, yeah, that's
probably
one.
use. Could oh yeah. Speaking of which, sorry, just a really quick tangent question, sort of. Could I use my DM rewards to level up my cleric from the past season, or is this totally new?
Good question. Actually, it is going to be totally new. So DM rewards are strictly for season 9 and below.
Classic ones. Okay.
Yeah, for the historical
Alright.
classic ones. Yeah.
Cool. I would rage, but go on, continue.
It's
Sorry,
like,
Miles.
eh,
Go ahead.
stay
Don't
open.
worry.
Oh, Miles, you
things.
also broke news this morning with an interesting little tidbit from the Adventures League called the Dungeon Quest, Ben? Dungeon Craft.
Oh,
Sorry.
Dungeon Craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Dungeon Craft? You were particularly very excited about that piece of news for season 10.
Ooh. Yes, I was. Actually, it was announced last week, so I'm a little late to the party. But however, Dungeon Craft. Basically, I'll just put it in very simple terms. You as a DM have access to all the tools. You have access to set a list of monsters. You have access to a list of adventure seeds and plot hooks that you can use to create your own adventure that is Adventures League legal without having AL admins approve it. So if you want to run it right now or later, just go ahead and run it as long as you follow the guidelines and use the
That's compelling
monsters.
for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see.
And it's great because yung initial reaction ko that that shit is broken, man. Pero may pala din talaga siyang guidelines to be able to manage it with this a list of pre-approved adventure hooks or like story themes that you have to follow to be able to unlock certain rewards. And there are also very specific guidelines as to creating 2-hour modules and 4-hour modules. 2-hour modules can only unlock parang a limit, parang may set of like unlocks lang for 2-hour modules. But if you want to unlock everything, you have to run the 4-hour version of that module. So, and everything like you said about monsters being available, parang they listed out like a long list of monsters that you can use. Tapos if there are can you add monsters into that list that are not in the monster manual, or is that something that is restricted based on your understanding of it, Miles?
Based on my understanding, I believe it is restricted. You're only allowed to use the monsters that are on that list. Otherwise, you can't use any other monster.
Oh, so we couldn't create our own monsters. Okay.
Yeah.
Tier 1 beholder
Hell yeah.
and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
I think tier 1. Yeah, go on.
So yeah.
Spectator is tier 1.
So
Never mind. Sorry.
I was particularly excited about that prospect coming out just because parang sometimes you kind of like get very limited by the adventures that are available sa AL, lalo na sa season 10.
True.
But it's kind of like very slow in terms of like publishing new content. Parang tier 1 pa lang ata meron sila. At least here, once you're done with with the published material, or if you feel like you want to continue, you don't have to wait for the published material to come out. And also, it's a big step also for Adventures League to go into this kind of like new kind play style that kind of like gives a little parang leeway for some creativity and parang permission din also to be creative with your campaigns. So parang sige, ito yung hooks, this is what you need to do for it to be legal, and everything else is open for the DM to interpret. So that's
Yeah.
really awesome, no? Parang marami masyadong potential for for new games, new exciting games, new communities. Also for Fort 7, also for like AL groups everywhere. I think that would be very interesting. Indeed.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's good
personally
to
excited.
Yeah,
it's good to have that kind of it's good to give DMs and players that kind of that kind of those kinds of options when it comes na AL legal din.
Mm.
So that's really good. I have yet to learn
Yeah.
about this though. Yeah.
Yeah, also like homebrew. Homebrew is the shit.
Oh, yeah.
As we're coming to realize now, parang I run a homebrew that is based on colonial Philippines.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So
Dude,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah. So
Apparently it was Fonzie's I think high school project or
no, it was my parang my college pastime.
cut.
I wrote a short story na I never got to finish.
And it came
So-
back to haunt us all.
So it's about that na parang adventurers find themselves in a parang peculiar island that is host to many Philippine folklore and creatures and stuff like that. And speaking of folklore, I saw in your YouTube channel you were doing a reading of a very parang a folktale
Yeah.
of some sort. Can you talk a little bit more about your
Yeah.
YouTube channel?
Those
Like,
rock, man. I heard so
Oh, right.
Like-
Well, yeah, I'm pretty inspired with, if you know Thing Brit and Seth. Well, those are I really love how they narrate and tell their things because they always insert memes, and I always wanted to do that.
Mm,
know,
I
in a
see.
way.
That explains that explains the use of images.
Yeah,
a very compelling story must insert meme.
exactly. So I just love it, and
You
for my
troll.
YouTube, I actually
That's troll,
Exactly.
Miles.
yeah. So for my YouTube, I actually treat it as a platform for practice because I'm an aspiring voiceover artist. I'm trying to practice my later voice, and I've been doing not only stories. I've also been doing adventure intros for DMs in Fort 7. So I'll tell an intro about their game. They can have their players listen, and it helps with immersion because the players, ooh, what's going on? This is the background, Mm, that inspired because in Breaking Bad, if you watch Breaking Bad, they kind of tell you a small background at the start, and then once you get into the main story, you're like, oh, that's what happened. Oh, so this is okay, that's gonna happen. So it kind of gives a player, that kind of feeling, and I like giving them that feeling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And the thing about Breaking Bad is parang, when you watch an episode, mid episode on TV, tapos yung parang, ano nangyari dyan? So you go back to the start of the episode just to watch it
You watch
again.
the whole
Parang
episode.
yan yung parang satisfaction na hinahanap nila na parang, ito pala yung napanood ko kanina. So that question gets answered as you journey through journey through the episode, which is a very, very unique and potent storytelling tool. No, parang
yeah.
nakikita natin yan sa mga movies, parang something happens tapos the frame freezes tapos you might have been wondering how I got to this point.
So it's like a fourth wall breaking narration.
Parang
I'm thinking Deadpool now. Great.
So, marami masyadong story tools na ginagawa yan. Like, yeah.
I guess, Miles, one more question really that I really want to know. What are your creative inspirations for when you DM? Like now that we're at that subject, you mentioned si Breaking Bad. Are there other movies or series that inspire you? Like, if I'm not mistaken, you primarily run AL games, or do you also run homebrew ones?
Oh yeah, I actually run
Both?
primarily AL. However,
Okay.
I've already taken a dive into homebrew, and it's getting addictive. It's
Yeah,
really
diba?
good.
Tell me about it. Yeah, so I guess I'd like to know what your like, where do you draw inspiration from, other than Breaking Bad in terms of your DMing style?
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I go back to my roots where it all started. Harmon Quest from way back then. I love Dan Harmon's way of storytelling, especially his theory on the story circle. His very basic theory on the story circle. I can't really explain it much because I have a list that I always refer back to every time I watch it. It essentially plays on the heroes going into danger, and then the heroes having a need, and then they go through struggle to find that need, and when they get it, there's a consequence, and then they come back, they're changed. That kind of inspires me in a way. Not only Dan Harmon, but also the dungeon master for that show, Spencer Crittenden. His manner of DMing, which is so straight to the point, I just love it. So that's also one other inspiration I take from. In terms of movies, let's see. Well, I'm not much for movies. It's more video games for me. Final Fantasy, yeah.
Final
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Final Fantasy. Of course. Of course. It's Final Fantasy.
Of course.
Who hasn't
Yeah, I get
imagined
that.
Tifa and Aerith in one bed?
I mean, yep. That's just an illusion.
Yeah. That's why in most of my AL games, I like playing tier 3 because in Final Fantasy, you're just a starting adventurer, and then suddenly there's this big bag who like bam, you're battling with the gods, and like
I was gonna say,
my.
why am I fighting Bahamut out of nowhere?
Yeah, exactly. So I like that. I like that whole feeling. That's why I love running high tiered games. I think that's why where I drew most of my inspiration from.
What's your favorite Final Fantasy game?
Oh
no, what's the best in your opinion? I'm putting you right hot seat.
That's only
the
two.
best one.
Only
Okay.
two to
Best one
choose
in my
from.
opinion. Best one in my opinion. Final Fantasy X is the best.
You heard it here, folks. Final Fantasy is the best game.
I'm sorry.
Just kidding. Don't give Miles enough for that.
Yeah,
Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can
Not my
respect
favorite. Oh.
I respect
the best.
I respect your opinion. I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
However, my favorite would be Final Fantasy VIII because
Xanarkand.
Xanarkand.
Your favorite would be Final Fantasy VIII. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy. Yeah.
Only reason is because childhood. I guess I grew up with it.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
grew up playing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
Gunblade feature was so entertaining. Yung
Oh yeah.
parang that was so satisfying to be able to limit break tapos hit all your Gunblade triggers. That was so fun.
Oh yeah. Especially when Lionheart kicked in.
No, yung Lionheart, lalo na yung Lionheart. I
Go
think
bam,
I
bam,
think
bam, bam, bam.
I think combat in Final Fantasy VIII was a lot better and a lot more refined, which I think parang for many players parang is the and also the story is more pronounced as a love story, whereas 7 isn't really one. Parang it's more of a
Yeah.
parang a cuckold series. Parang
Call me basic, but that's the only Final Fantasy game I played. 7.
That's
Aerith. Yeah.
Like,
I think it's
Yeah.
I played
Go
everything
ahead.
from I think from 6 to 12.
Oh.
I played parang ganun. I didn't like 9 or 10 that much. Parang pag ending ng 10 kaya parang what the fuck is going on? You were imagined? What the fuck?
everything was
Everything was a lie.
Everything is
Yeah.
I just spent hours upon hours just leveling you up and you are an
Yeah.
imagined creature. God damn it.
Now that I think about it, parang di ba, it's I guess just because it's the most popular doesn't mean it's the best. So parang I think Final Fantasy 7 is the most popular kasi. And I think this is mostly rooted on most people our age siguro or older than us who've spent a lot of hours and time on these characters, being very invested in them, only to spoiler alert only to have this specific character killed right, I think in in between
Disc
disc
two.
1 and disc 2. I got disc 2, right?
Yeah.
So parang I think that as a child talaga, no? Yeah, as a child in the day, 13 years old siguro. That's a very big
Yeah.
that was probably my first of a loss. My first
Oh.
experience of a loss.
Di ba
This is
pa
why I'm
napanood yung
very
Land Before Time?
yeah, I mean, yeah, that
Did that
made me
predate
cry.
that
Pero-
predate your gaming?
parang that also made me cry, but this one I spent time on on it, like got to know the characters, although I was more of a Tifa person. I don't know why.
Ah,
Pero alam mo yun,
Yeah.
parang when this character died, I'm like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
yeah.
So parang it's that kind of investment
Frustrating.
that yeah.
Yo. Yeah.
And parang ano lang din, it's just, I think, like in terms of like story, once you go through that, parang alam mo na ang mangyayari. It was really frustrating. And
Oh.
when it happened to me, I had to play again because literally all my good healing material was on.
Oh my.
I think everyone knows this now. Why are we
I
not
restarted.
mentioning it?
So I literally restarted. So parang
Oh, what?
I remember the feeling of hate and anger and frustration na parang so bumalik lahat ng material ko sa chest, right? It's in my inventory, right? Tapos I check,
no!
it's not there. Okay, new game. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
That's a lot to go through again.
Yeah. But I was wiser the second time around. Parang mas invested na ako kay Tifa.
I'm gonna focus on you instead.
And I think
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy VII, like in terms of like after beating the game, I think it has one of the more parang engaging after story. Kasi marami pa rin sa mga unlocks. Parang parang weird, like Knights of the Round, defeating the Ultima weapons and stuff like that. I think that was really
Ooh,
fun.
yeah.
Call me an idiot, pero yung sa Sephiroth fight pa lang is really tough. So after I'm done. I gotta study my shit. All right. Sorry, Miles. Go on.
and-
Alright.
And para sa akin, like the Sephiroth fight was a lot better than the Ultimecia fight. Kasi parang weird yung Ultimecia fight. Na parang you only get
Yeah.
to parang you only get to meet her sa ending. Parang wala masyado siyang involvement. Lalo na sa 10, parang pucha. Parang bigla lang magdating yung
I think a lot of people were pissed doon sa 10 na ending. I'm not sure lang why. Parang
Well.
Yeah. And
Yeah. But
yeah.
anyway,
So Miles, do you plan on killing any female or male favorite characters in one of your games?
NPCs.
oh my.
NPCs?
I think,
People that they invested a lot was to just kill them.
oh my gosh. I haven't tried that yet. It's a good idea though. I think I'll consider trying that out.
Oh well, sorry future players. We gave them the idea.
But sa Season 10 Dungeon Craft, you can't kill NPC, so you're safe. All the NPCs.
yeah.
Breathe
Yeah,
a sigh of
yeah.
relief.
Though it's
Relatively
Yeah.
safe. Yeah, so talking about like the epic next week, and would you how would players come to register in that, and how would they be able to join the epic next week?
All right. Well, we've already posted a tiny URL link for the Google, and it's a Google form wherein you fill that up. So I believe it's on that post that you just shared earlier, Fonzie.
I'll share it again. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, that's all right. You do see it. It's gonna be there, and all you need to do is just sign up, and you'll be
That's
assigned
scary.
a DM. Afterwards, you can go ahead and join some, Port 7 games if you want to grind for the epic, or you can just host your own games. It's no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So,
yeah. We'll put the link in the description in this video para you guys can sign up.
So all
Right.
our 5 viewers will be able to see it.
Hey man, I view them 5 times, so that's probably just me.
Yeah, our group are registered to join the epic. I was invited to
Ooh.
DM pero parang natamad ako mag-prep, so I'll just play. Uh, so yeah, so
yes.
we're excited to be a part of it. So we wish you all the best, and hopefully we can, if it's possible, to record the game maybe, or I don't know.
I think
That-
I think it should be good. I think it should be okay. I'll just have to ask.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
November 28th, right?
Yeah.
From
Mhm.
1 p.m. to 5 p.m., right?
Yep. Mhm.
All right, cool. I
Awesome.
have 1 week to get my cleric to level 4. Fonzie, I'll need your
Ikaw naman yung busy eh. Yaya ko ng yaya. Anyway, so yun lang. So how can we find you, Miles? Like what's your socials, and how can people find you online or offline?
Sure. Well, I don't still. You can follow me on Twitter. I do have a Twitter. It's
Oh, nice. Following you right now.
yeah, Miles Sandro. MILESSANDRO. I also have a YouTube channel, so you can subscribe there too. I try my best to post weekly, and if you have Facebook, not much. I'm still planning to do that. I'm still pretty new to all this, so trying to build my brand and stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Maybe you can teach us. I think
Yeah, man.
about that.
Give me voice lessons.
Yeah.
I'm still starting too, so
Let's figure it out together. Tawag dito, how can they find you, Carlo? Like, what's your socials?
Yeah, if you're watching this video, then you're probably one of the 36 subscribers to my YouTube channel. But yeah, it's basically just Carlo Geeks Out at just do a quick Google or Facebook search and you can find me there. And yeah, that's really just about it. How about you, Fonzie? Where can they find you?
I'm on. We're on Facebook. Facebook.com/Tabletop Titos. Also, you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Fonzitoot, FONZITOOT. And also, I have a leadership podcast on Activate Leadership. You can just Google or Spotify there. So, so you can find us there.
Noise.
Tabletop Titos also has a YouTube, so you can also
Oh, yeah.
do a quick search on that. Subscribe if you like our content and if you like seeing 30-year-olds play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. So we post games. We record and we post games there that we've recorded. So
Ooh.
if you're bored or if you want to watch any of our games there, so head on over. And if you want to play and find games, you can head over to Fort7 and
Fort7.net.
yeah, which
Yeah.
will
Lots
be,
of games there.
yeah, hopefully I'll be posting my first game. Sabi ko last week, parang run ako, pero yeah. So yeah, I'll be posting that soon. So I'll see you at the Epic, guys. We'll see you there. So hopefully you
Yep.
can join.
Yay.
Hell
And,
yeah.
So thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much, Miles,
Yeah, that
for
was awesome.
for being here. It's great to meet you and actually know that there are other DMs who are very who like to actually DM and share their stories with other people.
There are other DMs who like to DM. Yeah.
Sorry, who like to dungeon master. There are people who like to DM rather.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There is
So,
hope.
All right. Yeah.
See you guys.
It was a
Take
pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye bye.
A short rest with Fonzi and Carlo.